Hi guys! I haven't seen you in forever, and I'm sure that you miss me just as much as I miss you. I mean, I hope. Okay. Anyways, today we are going to be going back to our lessons. Last week we did Easter, but we're going to pick up where we left off. So you probably were learning about King Saul last week, or not last week, but weeks before we started doing this. And today we're going to pick up back with King Saul, okay? So I brought my Bible, but I know because it's like King James Version that you guys are like, please speak my language. So I also brought one of your guys' little Bibles. So if you guys want to read along, you guys can. You're going to go to 1 Samuel, and it's going to be chapter 13, and we're going to skip around. We're going to go to 15 and 16 too. So if you can find that in your Bible, I mean, I don't know if you have it with you, but while you do that, try and find that. I'm just going to give you a little backstory on what we're talking about. Okay. 1 Samuel 13, and we're going to be doing, there's some in 15 and 16. Okay. So 1 Samuel's also, it's in the Old Testament. It is, let's see, Judges. It's like the 7th, 8th book of the Bible. Joshua, Judges, 8th book of the Bible. Yeah. So if you just go through, you can find that. Okay, so we learned about Saul. You probably did. We'll just give you a little update. Saul, at the time, Israel. Remember Israel? Israel is the nation that God blessed. So we have Israel. A-E-L. Israel, okay? Israel didn't have a king. God was Israel's king. Other nations, we want to be cool like them, and we want to have a king. And so God was like, all right, fine, you're going to get your king. And so he gave them Saul, all right? So we have Saul, king of Israel. We're going to give him a little crown here, so we know, right? All right, so we have Saul. Now, Saul started out as a fairly good king, you know. He was everything that a king should be. He was strong, and he was good looking, and he was good in battle and stuff. So he was a good king. He started out good, right? All right, but today we're going to learn about what his downfall was, all right? So at the time in Israel, this is a long time ago, by the way, guys. This is, a long time ago. There were prophets, prophets, priests, all right? So at the time, Samuel was the high priest. That meant that he was like he was in charge. You know how like we have the pastor and we say the pastor, you know, he's top dog, you know. Well, the priest was like the high priest. He was like the pastor, you know. He heard from God and told the people. All right. I think Samuel was the high priest. Yeah, right. I think so. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, we have Samuel. Now, I'm sure you guys know some people named Sam. Sam, there's a girl, Sam goes to our church, right? But her name's Samantha. But you all probably know someone named Samuel or Sam, right? Right, okay. So Samuel was the guy in charge. Oh, Sam. Hi, Sam. Okay, so we have Samuel, high priest, right? Now, remember, the priests were the ones who would always give offerings. They were the ones who would have burnt offerings, so they would kill the lamb or the cow or the goat. I don't think goat. Yeah, goat sometimes. All right, and they'd offer it to God for sins, for blessings, for peace offering, things like that, okay? So usually they would sacrifice before they went to battle, all right? So today, Saul, in the story today, Saul is, he's about to go to battle, all right? So I'm going to read 1 Samuel chapter 13, okay, and we're going to be in verse, let me find it here, what it says. Verse, I think 13 through 14. Let's make sure that's right. No, that's not right. Go back over here. Oh, yeah, okay, so here we go. So we're going to be in verse 5. So 13:5, so 1 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 5. All right, so I'm going to read. You can follow along with me. So the Philistines gathered together to fight against Israel. Now the Philistines were they're always mentioned in the Bible as Israelites' enemies. You remember the story of David and Goliath? Well, Goliath was a Philistine, okay? So they're going to fight the Philistines, all right? So the Philistines had 3,000 chariots. I believe that's who they're talking about here. And 60,000 chariot drivers. And their soldiers were as many as the grains of the sand on the seashore. And they went up and camped in Michmash. I think that's how you pronounce that. And that was east of Beth Aven. So they had 3,000 chariots, 6,000 chariot drivers, and they had soldiers as many as the sand of the sea. How many of you have been to the beach? All of you probably. All right, you know when you're standing there and there's the sand and you're squishing your toes in it, and then you pick it up and it just falls through your hands and you see it. Do you guys ever think that you could count the sand? Probably not. I don't think that's ever going to be possible for any human being, okay? Or you look up at the stars and you try and count the stars and you get to 5 and you're like, I'm not even going to try because it's impossible, right? You guys, it's really hard to count the sand and the stars, all right? But it says there were so many soldiers, as many, it looked like the sands of the sea. So just it kept going and going and going and going. You guys are thinking, that's a lot of people, right? Okay, so the men of Israel, so Israel, remember, they're the good guys. All right, Israel, they saw this, and that their army was in deep trouble. So they're like, oh man, they got a bunch of people, and we are not, we're in trouble. They have so many people, all right? All right, so they hid in caves and bushes. Guys, have you ever hid in a bush before? Do you know how hard it would be to hide in a bush? I mean, pretty hard. I'm just going to go jump in this bush. Okay, so they hid in caves and bushes, and they hid among the rocks. Oh, yeah. See, try and jump in this. That's good. Jump in the bush. I'm just going to. You know, in movies, when you see the people and they think it's funny that they're trying to hide, and so they grab this a bush or something, or they grab a leaf and they hold it up and they just walk by. I mean, have you seen that ever before? I'm sure you probably have. That's how, probably not how, they probably had big bushes there or something, but I just think it's funny. Okay, so they hid among the rocks, and they hid in pits and empty wells. Wells, guys, wells. Have you ever seen a well or a pit? They're really deep. So this is a well. It has to go down to reach sea level or something like that. I don't know the whole dynamics of it or whatever, but it has to go really far to get to the water. Okay, this is the water. Woo. So imagine this little guy, and he's like, I'm going to jump in the well, because that seems like a good idea, right? Woo. All right, so he jumps. They hide in wells. Those would be pretty hard to get out of. Okay, they were like, we're going to die. We're jumping in a well. All right, so some of them even went across the Jordan River, and they went into the lands of Gad and Gilgad. So the Jordan River, as I recall, is pretty big. They crossed it. They were like, we're not dying today. I'd rather drown than get killed by the Philistines, so let's try and cross the river. All right, so, but Saul, he remained in Gilgal, and all the troops who were with him were shaking with fear. Have you guys ever been so afraid that you're shaking with fear? I have never been that scared. But I know what it's like to be really scared and to be shaking with fear. I can only imagine that they were really, really scared, okay? So he waited 7 days. So Samuel the priest, was supposed to come to Gilgal where they were. So Saul and his army, they're in this place called, let me make sure I spell it right, Gilgal. All right. They're all waiting in this area. And Samuel, priest, is supposed to come and offer a burnt sacrifice. So to the Lord and bless them so that they do well in battle. And it makes everyone, all the troops, just feel better, you know? Have you guys ever been on a sports team? I'm sure a lot of you have, okay? So, you know, like when your coach isn't there maybe and all you're just kind of like sitting there like, oh man, are we going to lose or are we going to win? And then the coach comes and he's like, all right, or she, and she's like, you can do this. This is what we're going to do. And you're like, yeah. So that's what the troops were like, okay? They were waiting for Samuel to come to offer the burnt offering, okay? So that it was kind of like this, we got this, and God would accept it and be like, all right, you guys got this, I'm going to bless you, you're going to do well. All right, so they're waiting. Samuel said he was supposed to come, right? So he waited 7 days, Saul did. He waited 7 days, just as Samuel had told him. So Samuel was supposed to come in a week. He's like, all right, I'll be there in 7 days. Just hold your horses, you know. All right. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and Saul's men began to scatter. They were like, oh, I'm getting out of here. He's not here yet, you know. Okay. So he said, Saul, remember the king, he said, all right, bring me the burnt offerings and the friendship offerings. And he offered up the burnt offerings. All right? This is a no-no. This was something that Samuel the priest was supposed to do. Saul was the king. This was not what he was supposed to do. Samuel said, I'm going to do it. Okay? And Saul was like, well, he's not here yet, you know. I think I'm just going to do it, okay? So Saul goes ahead and he offers up a burnt offering. So a burnt offering, they usually stack stones on top of each other, okay? Like this. Going to do my best here. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to finish this. All right, so they usually stack stones on top of each other. Okay, then they had to get some wood, whatever, maybe some hay to start it up. Then they had to kill lamb, sheep, goat, cow, whatever it was, and they would offer it up to God, right? That's fire, by the way. I know what you're all thinking, okay? Keep your laughter to yourself. All right, so then they offer it up to God, all right? And God saw that, like I said, as like, all right, he would then bless them, and they would do good in battle, and they'd win over the enemy, because it was like God goes with them, you know? But Saul, he was like, I don't want to wait any longer. My men are running, and you know what? I just got to do what I got to do. He was like, I don't got to wait for Samuel. You know, it's okay. I don't think God really is that worried about who does what. So he's just like, I'm going to do it myself. Listen to this. Just as Saul finished, okay? If he would have just waited a little bit longer, just as Saul finished offering the sacrifice, Samuel walks up, right? And Saul went out to greet him. He's like, oh, hey, look, I better go say hi, you know, runs out there. And Samuel says, what have you done? Like, have you ever, you probably all have siblings. Maybe some of you don't, or has your mom ever come into your room and, like, you've broken something, or you were trying to find something, and so you're just, like, throwing stuff everywhere, and they come in and they're like, what have you done? Have you ever had that happen? I'm pretty sure most of you had, okay? Or you've said that to someone else. Someone breaks the toy, you're like, what are you doing? That was mine. Although you're probably sounding a lot more angry, and I'm assuming that Samuel, the priest, he was just like, what? Okay? So, and Saul replied, well, I saw that the men were scattering, and I saw that the Philistines were gathering together in Michmash, and you didn't come when you said you would, so I thought, now the Philistines will come down and attack me. And so I hadn't asked the Lord to show us his favor, so I felt that I had to offer the burnt sacrifice. He was like, well, so let me say what he said. He said, well, I thought that the bad guys were going to come get me, and all my men, all my helpers and my friends that were all leaving, and so I thought, well, you aren't here yet, and I really need God's blessing on this and his favor, so I felt like I had to do it, you know? I had to do this, all right? And so Samuel kind of roasts him. He says, you did a foolish thing. Has your mom ever said that to you? Like, you did a very, very naughty thing. How could you even think that you could do that? Have that ever happened to you? Some of you guys are like, yeah, more than once, right? Okay, so he's just like, you did a very foolish thing. He said, you haven't obeyed the commandment of the Lord your God that he gave you. If you had, he would have made your kingdom secure over Israel for all the time to come. So he's saying, if you would have obeyed him and not just obeyed, your kingdom would have lasted until the day you died, you know. This kingdom, under you, Israel would have been super secure, okay? But you didn't. You didn't obey. So we're going to jump over to, we'll keep the story going, but we have to jump over to chapter 15 now, okay? So just a couple pages down. And let me see which one it is. Okay, let me make sure I get the right one. Oh, yes. Okay. So, we'll go to that. Let me finish something else I forgot to say. So, anyways, Samuel's like, whatever, dude. You brought this upon yourself. And he's like, I'm just gonna get out of here. So he leaves, and Saul counted up the men, and the total of them were about 600. So Saul decides to go out, fight the battle, and it says over here in 15, I gotta find it. Sorry, guys. 35 or 26? Huh. Oh, 22. Okay. Okay. Or is it? Sorry, guys. I'm at what? My wits in here. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay, so it's 15:7. Yeah. All right. So Saul attacked the Amalekites, and he struck them down in the way of Havana and Shur near the eastern border of Egypt, and he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and he and his men totally destroyed all the Agag people with the sword. Okay, and then let's see. Yes, and they just defeated the Philistines and all that good stuff. Okay, so anyways, Saul comes back from war a couple days later. There's more to the story. And he's like, he was supposed to destroy all these people, right? And he didn't. He brought their king and he brought their sheep. And Samuel's like, dude, you messed up again. What are you thinking, okay? So, I mean, the major thing was that he offered the sacrifice, and that was a big no-no. So what happens is, because of that, and because of this bringing people alive and not destroying them all, we're still in chapter 15, but I want you guys to switch down to 26. Samuel said to Saul, I won't go back with you. You have refused to do what the Lord told you to do, and you have refused to have, and he has refused to have you as king over Israel. Okay? So God tells Samuel, he says, listen, Saul, God, so God, right, God. God tells Samuel, the priest, he's like, Saul, he started out good, but you know, all right, he's not going well. He's disobeying me. He's offering sacrifices. Like, this is a really important thing. He says, he didn't wait. Like, you were right there. And he says, I'm going to reject Saul. I don't want Saul to be king anymore because he's not obeying me. He's not listening to me. And I'm rejecting Saul. And that's why Samuel says, he says to Saul, I'm not going back with you, dude. Because you have refused to do what the Lord has told you to do. And so because of that, God has refused you as king of Israel. All right, so what's the main theme here? let's go. Well, we'll finish that later. So we have Saul, and we have God, and we have Samuel. All right? Saul could have waited. He could have waited. Like, I don't know, how long do you think it takes to build an offer and offer it to the Lord? I don't know, with all those people. Maybe it was just Saul doing it. I'd say a couple hours, maybe more. If he could have just waited a couple more hours, Samuel would have been there. It would have been fine. But Saul was impatient. He was like, no. I'm losing stuff. This isn't benefiting me to wait. It's not helping me to wait. Like, it's going to go. I got to do this now. All right? Guys, it is really, really, really important to wait when God says he's going to do something, okay? God sent Samuel. So when Samuel said he was going to be there, it was like God saying, Samuel's going to be there, okay? Don't worry about it, all right? I'm coming, Samuel said. All right? Saul's like, I just don't want to take any risk, you know? There he is. How many of you guys have had your mom tell you, like, all right, just go wait, and I will make the cake, or I'll make the food, or whatever. I'm going to do it. Don't worry. You guys have your mom tell you things like that. Just wait until it's done. All right? But then you're like, but I'm so hungry, and I can't wait any longer, and I just want some of that food. And look, she left out some olives in the bowl for tacos, and I'm pretty sure she wouldn't mind if I had one, right? Some of you are like, I hate olives. What are you talking about? Okay, maybe it was cheese or chicken or something like that. You're like, ooh, I'm going to go get some of that. And you eat some of it. Have you done that before? I know I do. Okay. But, and then your mom's like, what are you doing? And you're like, okay. So, and then she's like, well, because you ate your olives, guess what? You ain't getting no dinner. None at all. Okay, some of you were like, whoa, that's harsh. And I don't think that ever happened to me. But I know it was like, you can't have any olives for the rest of the night, or something like that, you know? Well, God was like, guess what? You disobeyed me. I don't want you as king anymore because you keep disobeying me. You didn't wait. You couldn't wait. Why didn't you wait? Guys, when God tells us to wait, we need to listen, and we need to wait because he's always going to do what he says he's going to do. I know a lot of you guys are like, man, this coronavirus thing is so long and tiresome, and I just want it to be done so I can go back to school, or maybe not. But I want to see my friends. I want to see my grandparents. I want to see people, right? Well, right now, we're just supposed to wait. God says all things work together for good for those who trust him, okay? If you guys trust God and you say, God, it doesn't matter what happens with this whole situation, I'm just going to wait for you. You got good plans for this, right? Then it's all going to work out well. So imagine if he had waited for Samuel. Imagine if he had waited and Samuel offered the burnt sacrifice. They went to war, they still won everything, but he would have been king for as long as he lived. It says that Samuel said, if you would have just waited, God would have established, he said, the kingdom, Israel would have been secure for your whole entire life. If you just waited, why didn't you wait? What were you thinking, So, guys, when we wait on God and we do what he says we're supposed to do, good things are going to happen. They always will when we trust God. Okay, so don't be like Saul, who got rejected. It says later on in, chapter 16, verse 14 of 1 Samuel, it says, let's see, then the Spirit of the Lord had left Samuel, and an evil spirit was sent by the Lord to terrify him. Guys, the Spirit of the Lord, he left Saul. It was like, I'm sorry, but I can't help you anymore, Saul disobeyed, and because of that happened. And because of that, other things happened that we'll find out later on as we keep going through the story about Saul. But so we're going to leave it off with Saul is rejected as king. Samuel, the priest, God's like, all right, Samuel, I need you to go find me a new king. And that's what we're going to learn about later on in the next few weeks about who becomes the next king because Saul disobeyed. But you think Saul could have had it all. The kingdom, he could have had great honor. He could have been one of the best leaders and kings there was if he would have just waited for a couple more hours. And sometimes we have to wait for years for things. But you know what? If we wait and we trust God, good things are going to happen. So whatever you're doing, don't be like Saul. Don't be like Saul and be impatient. Even when your best friends are running, even when things are just going crazy, when it looks like you're about to be destroyed, when things bad are going to happen, just wait. And everything will turn out right if you trust God. Just wait and trust him, okay? So that's our lesson for today. Just remember to trust God and wait, and good things are going to happen. And I don't know exactly what we're going through next week because I don't have it with me, but I'm assuming, we're going to learn about who becomes the next king, which is going to be fun. So one thing I have right here is a who and what I am. Did they get this to take home or no?
Yeah, they got it. The packets are outside, and it's on the website to download for parents who didn't get it.
Okay, so on the website you can download this if you didn't get it. So here's like a little who and what am I thing. So I don't know if you have this, but if you want to do this, it talks about I was the first king of Israel. Now we know that the first king of Israel was Saul. So we have Saul here. Do you see this right here? Can they see it? Good? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we know that the first king of Israel was Saul. Remember, the Israelites, they were all like, we want a king. God was like, okay, you can have Saul, you know. And then we were the army of mean warriors that came to fight against Saul, not fall. It's springtime. Okay, they were the Philistines, okay? Remember that? It's spelled with a P-H. I didn't write it up there, but maybe I should. Let me see if I remember. I don't think I can spell it if I try. Let's see. P-H-I-L. There's probably another L. Let me turn the page. There might be something on here that says about it. Two L's? Yeah, I think so. I-S-T-I-N-E-S. Whoa, that got really close to God. Just gonna move God right here. Okay, Philistines. I don't know if you can read that, but it's P-H-I-L-L-I-S-T-I-N-E. You guys are like, I didn't get any of that. But we're going to have someone write it for you. So, all right, then there's question 3. It says, I was the last judge of Israel, the great prophet of God. Okay, so Samuel was a prophet, I guess. Prophet, high priest, they were like not exactly the same thing. I think I messed that one up, but it's okay. All right, so the man that Saul was supposed to wait for before making the sacrifice. Who was Saul supposed to wait for? He's supposed to wait for Samuel, so that's S-A-M-U-E-L. I'm sure if your parents are there, they can help you with it too. And if not, just write Sam. That will work. Okay, so Saul did not listen to God, and this is what he did. Oh, this is what he did. Let's see. He disobeyed. There's the word. Oh, this is helpful. Aha, I didn't even see this. So down here it says the word bank, guys. So what you do is you find the words and you put them in. So there's Philistines right there. King Saul, Samuel, disobeyed. And then God does this when his people sin, and he had to do it to Saul. He judged Saul. He said, there it is. So there's all the word banks. So there's the paper and everything you can see here. And if you don't have one of these, well, you just got a little backstory on it. All right. So if your moms and dads want it, though, right? Is that what this is about? Okay. Okay, moms and dads can go to www.calvarychapel.org and click on the Calvary Chapel WV for West Valley.org and click on God's Kids. And they can see today's video.
Under today's video will be the download.
Oh, okay. And under the video is the download link for the paper, right?
Yes, they can print.
They can print it. And worksheets if they didn't have it, okay? And we have these every single week. There is I don't know how many of you have one of these, but outside the church there's a little box, and it has papers, and in there, this paper will be in there every single week, a new one for each lesson that you can get before we go through, and it'll have whatever the worksheet is that we're doing with that. So today we learned about Saul, and there's all that fun stuff. All right, so now you guys know to wait on the Lord and trust Him, and good things are going to happen. So I'm going to pray, and then we're going to have to say goodbye for today, but there's always next week, okay? So let's pray. Close your eyes, bow your heads, all right? Dear God, thank you for this day, and thank you for the rain we had, and thank you that you are faithful, and that you can always, that we can always rely on you, God, and that you'll always be there when we need you, God. And just help us to wait and trust in you, God. And give us all strength and keep us all healthy and safe. And in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, guys. I'll see you all next week get to learn about who's going to be the new king, right? Okay. Bye.